Okay, I'm not going to sit here and harp on UDL too much, but we are going to go through a little bit of an overview. If you are unfamiliar with UDL, Universal Design for Learning, I'm going to do a brief overview of it, but if you have zero introduction or even just want a refresher, I cannot recommend this video enough. It is linked right here. For some reason, twice. I've gone back several times, linked this entire text one time, and it's linked like twice here. But doesn't matter, same video. If you click on this is Shelly Moore. She's amazing. She runs a YouTube channel called, she does a lot of different things, but her YouTube channel is called 5 More Minutes down here. And I think this video, I think I recommend this to a lot of people because this was like this is the first time a UDL like really clicked with me. I was like, that's such a great way to put it. So she's got this really great video here. Give that a watch, about 7 minutes. Even if you're familiar with UDL, I think that's worth a watch. And then down here below are some other resources that I'm going to roll through here. So what I'm going to ask you to do on this page is just explore the UDL guidelines and think about the crossover between UDL and SAMR. So we've got that other SAMR graphic on the previous page, and I'm linking the UDL guidelines here for you so you can check those out. And then I've got this crosswalk image here as well that we'll go through. Once we're done, I'm going to ask you to answer these 3 questions down at the very bottom as a reply to this discussion post, and that's the portion that will be graded, or I'll track the clock hours for that. So my favorite way to explain or think about UDL is actually taken from, you guys might have done some work with Emily Bushhouse at the ESD. I think she's got her hands heavily in MTSS this year, and she has this really great analogy around skiing. And this also really resonated with me because I grew up skiing. I love skiing. Grew up in Colorado, and if we think about running our classrooms like you would approach the top of a ski hill, oftentimes it can look like this, right? So we shoot for the middle. I know this graphic shows a double black diamond, which is very much not intermediate, but let's use our imaginations here. Oftentimes we shoot down the middle, and we've got our options and maybe some like satellite options for kids as well. And we do a ton of work differentiating these different lessons and trying to accommodate all these different levels of learners. And we know there's just this wide variety of kids in our classroom. But ultimately, it's that a third, right? A third of your kids are picking up what you're putting down. A third don't need it because they're somewhere else. They're beyond that. And a third just are not picking it up and they need something scaffolded. And then there's all sorts of variations in between. A UDL approach to a classroom might look more like a traditional ski hill. So if you need that beginner route and you want to go down here on the far left side, you can do that. You can take that and challenge yourself as you go. For those of us who have been skiing for a long time, you might want to take these harder routes. But wherever you're at your ability level, you have something you can access. And that's the principles behind UDL. Actually started out as an architectural design philosophy. Like if you think of access to a building that's ADA compliant, you've got a ramp and you've got stairs. So if I'm someone who accesses the world using a wheelchair, I don't have to bring my own lift to get up those stairs. I can use the ramp to get in there. The building doesn't have to accommodate for me. It's just designed that way, and however I'm accessing that building, I can get in there. Wouldn't it be nice if our classrooms were like that? Also, and many people's are, right? The trick is we have new kids every single year. It is a constantly evolving system, and we're constantly learning new things. So it's work that can continually be done. Earlier, I said the one thing that I refer to as the plate, not one more thing on your plate. The plate is UDL. If we use the UDL design concepts to build our lessons, our learning experiences for our students, with moderation, knowing that we need to be flexible and adapt to different kids in different situations. And sometimes direct instruction is the right approach for whole classroom instruction, but sometimes there are some really high impact and high leverage lessons that require multiple options and multiple points of access for engagement, representation, and action and expression. So you can pause this video again. I've also linked the slides in the Canvas course, so you can go take a look at those. But this is a really nice little UDL in a nutshell to what is it. So when we think about the UDL domains, we're talking about these three different columns in engagement, representation, action, and expression. Or how are we motivating, sustaining interest in that engagement for our students, right? So what is keeping them interested and motivated in our classrooms? How are we presenting? So that's that representation piece. How are we giving the information to our students? How are they accessing it, like consuming? And are there multiple ways for them to do that? If we're having them read something, is that part of the learning? Are we working on their reading skills? Then great. Are we providing them something to read in a format that is accessible to them at a level that really meets that zone of proximal development where students are not it's not too easy for them. It's not way too challenging for them to be inaccessible. It's right in that Goldilocks zone there. Or can we provide that in multimodal formats for students to consume? And then how are they demonstrating their learning or showing us what they know? Do they have options to showcase their learning? And then what's the right time to narrow that a little bit for students, right? Not everything needs to be infinite choice for kids all the time, right? We were mentioning SAMR before. Not every single assignment needs to be a podcast. Sometimes kids need to engage in long form writing, but not all the time, right? So it's really about those options and making our classrooms more of a buffet rather than a plated dinner. So these slides can be accessed right here. Feel free to go and take a look at those, make a copy if you would like. And what I'm going to ask you to do next is click on this next link here, which is going to take you to the UDL guidelines and explore this. So this graphic organizer here, let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah, is clickable. This is one of my favorite things on the in the professional realm on the internet here, because I can click on this and say welcoming interests and identities, optimized choice and autonomy, which is, I should probably use a different one because people have a tendency to think that UDL is only about choice, but it's a lot more than that. But each of these things is clickable. Each of these things are clickable. They will give you more information here. And then even down here on these little sub points, you can click on these and they'll give you even more information there. So take 10 to 15 minutes, explore this, knowing that the questions I'm going to ask you at the end here are, which of these is most important to you as a learner? So you as a professional adult learner, what do you really value from that, from these guidelines here? So do you like joy and play in your learning, or is that something you just do not like? Respect. And then which of these do you like to focus on when you're supporting your students? Just coming into a little bit of self-reflection on that. And then forward thinking about what do you hope to take away. And then spend not a ton of time, because this is not super detailed, but I've created a little bit of a crosswalk between the SAMR model and UDL, right? So we've got the three major domains here of engagement, representation, and action and expression across the top, and then the SAMR ladder down here below. Just looking for typos. I found one earlier and had to remake it. I had to go back in there and edit it. Doesn't matter. If you find a typo, please let me know. But this is just what that could look like in that crossover, right? So if you've got UDL as your design principle and SAMR as your framework for reflecting on how you're implementing ed tech in your classroom, putting those two things together will really bring us back to some answers for that screen time question, right? Is it necessary for me to be using technology to provide multiple means of action and expression for my students? And if not, then maybe we're sitting in substitution and spending way too much time on screens. This is a better offline activity. Or if it's something that could really benefit from that, students being able to consume information in multiple formats and engage in that process, maybe that's something where we start to try to shoot for that redefinition piece. That's a lot there, but take a little bit of time to just internalize that, starting with the UDL guidelines, explore that, use that information to take a fresh look at this crosswalk, and then when you're ready, answer these three questions and go ahead and move on.